Welcome to The Globe here on SABC News. My name is Pil Shongwe.
And my name is Mpotse Duarkhotsisheng Marna.
Ayake.
Indeed, my name is Mararu, and thank you very much for joining us this evening. Let's firstly go to our top story.
Zimbabwe. Zimbabweans are anticipating that the winner of the general elections will swiftly attend to the worsening economic situation in that country. The incumbent President Emmerson Mnangagwa is hoping to win elections since he took over after the ousting of the longtime President Robert Mugabe.
Well, but the MDC Alliance is saying it's had enough voter confidence to emerge as the next government. And one of the deciding factors this election is the economic challenges facing the country. The former President Robert Mugabe's policies led to the collapse of the economy, and the official unemployment is said to be around 80%. The party is gunning for support, say they have a plan to address this. But for many going to the polls on Monday, top of mind will be voting for a party and presidential candidate who will inspire hope and also be able to attract the much needed investment to turn the situation around.
Well, for more on Zimbabwe's challenges and prospects, our reporter Abongile Dumako joins us live from Harare, where he's standing by with economist Persistence Gwanyanya. Hello to you, Abo.
Of course, good evening, Pal. We are live from Harare, the capital city of Zimbabwe, a country that indeed used to be the food basket within the SADC region. Challenges that include your sanctions and political changes, so that country losing, so this country losing that title indeed. But of course, as you've said, Pell, I'm joined by independent economist Persistence Gwanyanya to unpack some of the issues that we'll discuss regarding the country's economy. Good evening to you, sir, and thank you so much for your time. Of course, Zimbabwe used to be that food basket of SADC region. Do we know what went wrong, seeing what's at stake right now?
Good evening. The challenges of Zimbabwe, I think they need to be put in perspective. Over the 50 years from UDI, we saw a prosperous Zimbabwe until the new millennium. And from the new millennium up to date, the country has gone through a period of protracted economic decline. Of course, it was the food basket of Southern Africa. It was a prosperous country. In terms of the indicators, economic indicators, you would note that at one point during those 50 years I have talked about, Zimbabwe's GDP per capita used to be around 73% of SADC average. It had gone down to around 40% of SADC average, implying that Zimbabwe has gone down, Zimbabwe has retreated in terms of progress, whilst the rest of Southern Africa was progressing. So clearly, Zimbabwe today is worse off than itself in the past and worse off than than its peers in Southern Africa and the rest of Africa.
Now, do you think, looking at the situation and of course some of the points that you've sort of highlighted, do you see a potential return to that former glory here in Zimbabwe?
There is humongous potential for Zimbabwe to return to its former glory because it is a richly endowed country with mineral resources. Zimbabwe has got more than 60 well sought after resources in the world. Compared to other countries in Africa, you would find that Zimbabwe is actually favored by God in respect of the natural resources. So it is the duty of Zimbabwe, it is the duty of leadership to make best use of the resources commanded to its care by the Creator, to make sure that Zimbabwe re-emerges as a prosperous economy in Africa, not only in Africa, but in the world. If you look at other countries such as Botswana, they have got only one mineral that is sustaining the economy, that is diamonds. People, the children, the school children in Botswana, they actually have got free primary education. And compared to Zimbabwe, which has got 60 different minerals well sought after the whole world, Zimbabwe should surely be in a better position than its regional peers.
Now, former President Robert Mugabe has sort of in the past blamed the sanctions for what we see, which we regard as a decline in the economy of the country. Is that a justifiable comment?
Clearly, sanctions are not desirable to Zimbabwe. Sanctions actually affected the economy of Zimbabwe. But to blame everything on sanctions, I think, is not being fair. We also have got a fair share of blame as leadership that we should carry. Zimbabwe mismanaged the economy over time. The issues of mismanagement can be seen in the institutions of Zimbabwe, which are arguably weak. The institutions of leadership, of governance, economic governance in the country, which are weak. And the policies that we adopted over or implemented over time that were retrogressive. You look at a policy like the land reform, noble as it was, but it was carried out in a chaotic manner that was retrogressive, that actually distracted productivity in the farms.
Now, let's look at the front runners for Monday's national elections, the MDCs, Nelson Chamisa and, of course, Emmerson Mnangagwa of the ZANU-PF. Do you think they've got what it takes to change things around between the two of them?
I think the first thing that leadership should understand in rebuilding the economy of Zimbabwe is the root causes of the challenges of Zimbabwe. Like I have said, Zimbabwe has gone through a protracted period of economic decline. So our challenges today are socio-economic. Zimbabwe has gone through a period of deindustrialization, which has seen high levels of unemployment and high levels of poverty. Do we have an understanding of this and how this should be solved amongst our leadership? Clearly, there would be doubt to the extent they really understand our challenges and how they can be tackled. The challenges of Zimbabwe cannot be tackled overnight because they were created over a long period of time. So they need time, they need reforms. If you look from the opposition side, it's very clear that their imagination of the problem is not as such. They think that the challenges of Zimbabwe can be sorted overnight. Clearly, the challenges of Zimbabwe cannot be sorted overnight. Zimbabwe, like all other countries that went through the challenges that we are going through, has to embark on a serious reform program. We cannot sort out the challenges of cash in Zimbabwe overnight. No, because the cash problems are actually a reflection of deep-seated structural challenges that take time to address. They are a reflection of deindustrialization level that have gone to historical levels. So clearly there is lack of understanding of the depth of the problem that we face as a country. But to an extent, I give them a benefit of doubt because they've got very little experience in government. If we look at the ruling party today, they are at the center of the economic deterioration that the country had gone through. So they know the challenges. They've got the experience of running the government, but they have been incapable of prospering the economy. They have been actually at the center of the economic decay that we have experienced as a nation. But with the coming in of Emmerson Mnangagwa, we have seen him trying to break away from the past policies that used to woo away investors. So he's trying to create an investor-friendly environment by opening up the economy for business, which is a positive for him. But obviously, one would obviously want to think that because he is trying to obtain the mandate of the people on the 30th of July 2018, he is naturally inclined to act so. Is that guaranteed? Is he going to be trusted to take the economy to the next higher level?
Persistence Gwanyanya, an economist here in Harare. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you very much.
Pal, there you have it. Challenges do exist here in Zimbabwe. Persistence saying that they can't be resolved overnight. And of course, tomorrow, Nelson Chamisa, the MDC Alliance leader, is holding his final rally just ahead of the Monday polls. Thousands of his supporters are expected to gather here in Harare, the capital city of the country. We'll bring you rolling coverage of the developments in as far as that goes. And of course, our colleagues are on the other side of Zimbabwe, that is now Bulawayo. They are there on the ground speaking to the masses to let us know what are their feelings and what are they looking forward to come Monday. For that, it's back to you in studio.